Now I'd like to turn to our Chair Emerita, Ms. Cristol.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dorsey. Congratulations to you, and Ms. Garvey, thank you for leading us this year ahead. In Walden, Thoreau wrote that in the long run, men hit only what they aim at. Therefore, they had better aim at something high. As we convene this year on the board, even amid the uncertainty of our immediate moment, we are preparing for decisions that will affect our community's long-run future. There is no long-run issue that matters more than climate change. Of course, the emerging scientific consensus now predicting 2 to 3 degrees of warming by century's end inspires, for us, such urgency. Decarbonization efforts are making a difference. But there is still so much human suffering that will be avoided only with action from all of us. And so we celebrate the news that Arlington County operations now run entirely on renewable electricity, a full 2 years ahead of schedule. And now our bigger challenge is helping our whole community decarbonize to meet our goals, which is why I'm truly looking forward to seeing the Office of Climate Coordination and Policy go from a mere idea last year to a fully functional operation, catalyzing and organizing as we start 2023. At the same time, we will have to resist the easy allure of just electrifying the status quo, especially when it comes to transportation, because respectfully, we aren't going to new car shop our way out of climate change. And we know that our Vision Zero goals, like our community energy plan, depends on reducing overall vehicle miles traveled, which means that public transit has got to compete on convenience and ease of use. We are on the edge of some big ideas about bus in 2023, building on the very successful extension of free art rides for APS students, thinking about regional bus service more dynamically and interconnectedly, with new studies and actions underway with WMATA and with the Northern Virginia Transportation Commission. And finally, we will be getting into some of the specifics of our own ART system, like improved routes and service levels as we begin our update to the Master Transportation Plan this calendar year. Sometimes our problems present as literal billboards staring us in the face, like the 14-foot commercial brokerage advertisement I saw entering Brooklyn this holiday, pleading, "Tired of Zoom?" in large font. This unsettled aspiration for a return to pre-pandemic in-person work reminded me, at least, that we are not the only community wrestling with difficult years ahead as office leases expire and challenge our local revenues and therefore budgets and levels of service. But what about the long game? 5 or more years from now, how can we hasten and not just hope for recovery and a more resilient local economy? The good company in which we find ourselves regionally and nationally means that we will have case studies to consider for supporting adaptive reuse. And thanks to the collaboration of our teams at AED and CPHD, we will have actions ahead early this year to update our policies to welcome 21st century uses in our commercial buildings, be they micro-fulfillment facilities, blends of traditional office and education functions, even urban agriculture. And we've got to retain our competitive advantage, our workforce. As Terry Clower of George Mason shared in a panel this fall, workforce and talent is the overwhelming driver of business siting decisions. And so it should be motivating, like 14-foot billboard motivating to all of us that the past few years have shown major domestic out-migration from Arlington and Nova. Largely, in Clower's observation at least, 25 to 35-year-olds. If we are losing the next generation, in his words, our office occupancy rate is close behind them. So, if meeting our climate goals demands less greenhouse gas emissions intensive ways of living, and sustaining our economic competitiveness hinges on our ability to retain newly mobile talent, then the long run certainly demands our attention to housing. This is, in fact, I checked, my 7th organizational meeting speech in a row calling for advancement of legalizing missing middle housing. The study and its origins have indeed been a long time in coming. But I do believe that patience has proved a virtue on this issue. The symbolism of modernizing our zoning ordinance to conceive of something other than one house on one lot throughout Arlington County is significant. And it engenders strong viewpoints on which we spent 2022 creating novel ways to hear and engage. And it's also been worth it to take this time because change is not really about 2023 or 2024, but really for the long run. What and who will Arlington be 30 years from now, with a healthy stock of mid-lifespan townhouses and small multiplexes? Or what and who will Arlington be without them, when another generation of modest homes have been redeveloped into one expensive house on one expensive lot? And so this is the year for action on Missing Middle, beginning with a request to advertise in the coming weeks to set the outer bounds of a possible ordinance change and define the areas for continued debate over the next couple of months. 2023 is also exciting because it's our first opportunity to think beyond and after the Missing Middle housing study when it comes to the zoning of our lowest density neighborhoods, specifically how to better achieve our goals of preserving tree canopy and minimizing impacts on neighboring properties. Ideas like those from our draft forestry and natural resources management plan about how shifting setbacks from front to back could protect backyard trees, or from our planning commission about whether shifting our paradigm from lot coverage to floor area ratio could allow us to get prescriptive about what we care about most, the volume, spacing, shape of homes, while allowing adaptation for changing conditions and greater variety in design. To be clear, the former recommendation is an urgent one, and the latter the beginning of a much more extensive analysis. But my point in sharing both is that they together reflect the ingenuity of this community is up to the challenge of shaping our long-run housing future. In short, as we begin 2023, I'm actually thinking about Arlington in 2033 and Arlington in 2053. Our economy, our environment, our homes, our collective values. I think that, in Thoreau's words, we had better aim at something higher for that future, because it is only as bright as our aspirations for it. Thank you, and Happy New Year.
Thank you.